I just pressed the Let's Go Live button, so let's wait for the stream to fire up all across the fruited plain of the internet. Of course, we're on YouTube, we're on Rumble, we're on Twitter. We were already talking a little bit on locals. But sometimes there are feds in the tubes, and it can interfere with the business that we have to attend to here, and we can't let that happen. And it looks like it's working. That's tremendous news. Let's go ahead and get started, shall we? Hello, my friends, and welcome back to yet another episode of Watching the Watchers Live. My name is Robert Govea. I am a criminal defense attorney broadcasting from the Valley of the Sun, deep in downtown Phoenix, Arizona. And today, my friends, we're talking about the word that is called not guilty, but for some reason it's not here on my screen. Well, here it is. Not guilty is what we're talking about. That is the big word of the day, because that is what Donald Trump entered into the court record when he was there for his arraignment. And so today we've got 4 different segments we're going to get to. We've got the arraignment segment where we're going to see exactly what happened, because he arrived there in Miami outside the courthouse. A lot of people were there. The New York Times was there. We'll read through an article to see what they reported happened. You can see the photograph that they're using. It's like, oh, it's like January 6th all over again. Oh, no. You can see the New York Times is just wanting something to happen. These poor cops. It's like they're the Capitol Hill PD. And look at these Trump signs. Oh, everything's going to go into madness. Fortunately, that didn't happen. Everything went pretty much by the book. Alina came out and spoke. We'll hear from her. Trump left. And when Trump left, this guy jumped in front of the motorcade. Little insurrectionist right here with the sign. Little jailbird, oh, in prison, Trump, oh, and so he jumped in. And so that's some of the madness that we saw there. I wonder if they're going to raid his residence, if the FBI is going to, I don't know, launch a whole campaign for people who want Trump jailed or something without due process of law, without the presumption of innocence. Sounds like kind of they're undermining American democracy, but we'll come back to that, of course. Now, Trump also stopped for prayers, and man, he's going to need them, because there is going to be a lot more coming his way. All of that to get up to speed on what happened today. Then I want to spend some time on the actual court docket, because there was a ton of activity, as you can imagine. In fact, let me just give you a snapshot of this. Right, this is a brand new case, and here's what we've got. June 8th, everything was filed, unsealed, summons went out. We've got orders. The media wants to get in on this case. Attorneys are filing. We've got orders coming from the judge, notices of appearance, and the list goes on. So we'll go through all of that so that we have the deets on exactly what happened. And then we'll see what some of the reaction was today. Joe Biden smirking over this. And there's this clip that has made its rounds before, saying that he's going to stop Trump under any legitimate means under the Constitution. And now, I guess he's using some legitimate means under the Constitution, according to his interpretation of the Constitution, or his shredding of the Constitution, might have a better understanding of this. But Biden smirked about this when he was asked about it by the media. Marco Rubio is really concerned, actually. He had some somberness in his eyes that's saying, this is kind of it. Once we cross this threshold, there's no going back. We've got reaction from Byron Donalds, who shoves it right back into this news anchor's face. Don't you put words in my mouth there, buddy. And then Ted Cruz saying this is massive, massive hypocrisy from the DOJ, which is obviously true. Now, J.D. Vance has a little bit of a solution on this, right? He's got something that he proposes actually happens in the Senate, because, the big question is, are the Republicans going to do anything at all, ever? I don't know. If it comes to Trump, we know the Senate has already been very quiet. So the question is, are they going to do anything here? Now, apparently, we just lost out on Rumble. What happened over there at Rumble? Oh, man. All right, so Vivek also issued a challenge. Vivek issued a challenge saying that other Republican candidates should make a statement on this, take a position, stop waffling in the wind. Do you support this prosecution or not? Do you want Trump to step aside or stay in the race? Or do you want him to be pardoned if you win, presuming that you win there? Asa Hutchinson, what do you think? And he delivered a burner of a speech, so we'll listen to that. He's also sporting this new Truth brand, which is, I think that's familiar. Have you seen that word before? Somebody else used that word a lot, truth something. But that's actually his brand now. He's wearing a hat. Feels like he might be commandeering that thing or attempting to commandeer it. So there's also this theme going on that, oh, it's only Trump. Only Trump is going to be the one who's responsible for this madness. Therefore, he's the only one who's going to be charged with crimes like this. But they're already out there. If you just go into Google right now and you type in DeSantis worse than Trump, this is what you'll get. There's like dozens of articles right on the first page. Huffington Post, New York Times, The Nation, New Republic, Vanity Fair, all of them, right? They're just writing LA Times. DeSantis is worse than Trump. So for all of the other GOP candidates out there who just, oh, it's only Trump, he's just uniquely bad. No, this is the new game. Joe Biden is not going to run a campaign. He's going to run a prosecution. That's going to be his campaign. All right. And so, my friends, we are going to get into it today. And I wanted to check on what was happening with Rumble. And hopefully, yeah, it looks like it's sending data. It says it's sending data on my end. So hopefully the Rumble works. We had some Rumble issues. Okay, so yeah, it looks like there's some people watching now. I don't know what it was. Now, I know we were talking about this on Locals. Amazon Web Services was having some issues today, and I think my multi-stream software uses that. So I think a lot of people use that. So if you're having internet issues today, it might be because of Amazon Web Services. But anyways, if you want to be a part of the show, my friends, come on and join us. Watchingthewatchers.locals.com. We do member-only streams. We hit the headlines in the mornings. We have a lot of fun doing it. Smaller, more intimate group. We get to talk about other things that we can't get into here. And so we'd love it if you joined us. Watchingthewatchers.locals.com. If you join up on YouTube, and I know we've already got some new members here today. Thank you to Patrick Parker, who invited new members. We've got a private Telegram group as well. And the private Telegram group is available where we do our after party, our members only after party after the show. And so come and check us out. Now, because it is indictment season and we're only in indictment 2 of 4, we've got to be properly prepared and nutrified and fortified because there's going to be a lot more to come, my friends. And so we'd all like to lose those leftover pandemic pounds, tighten up a little bit. But we're all sick of the ads for weight loss pills and fad diets. We've all heard about them. We've all been there, done that. We've seen them. They just don't work. We've tried them even. But you know what does? Eating healthy, especially eating 5 healthy servings of fruits and vegetables every day. You do that, and the weight would probably just fall right off. But look, I know vegetables, not a fan, and fruit, it takes a lot of time to prepare that every day. Instead, let's talk about Field of Greens. Now, Field of Greens is a science-backed formula, very specific fruits and vegetables that you're not going to find in any other product. Proper nutrition reboots your metabolism so you burn calories faster and lose weight the healthier way. And Field of Greens is the only brand backed by a better health promise. Yes, you'll look and feel healthier fast, but the greater proof is going to come at your next checkup when you walk in there and your doctor takes one look at you and he says, "Wow, what is happening here? You've lost weight." Whatever you're doing, keep it up. And so let's get you started. Go on over to fieldofgreens.com. Don't forget to enter code Robert when you check out so you can save 15% off on your first order. It's real organic superfood. The vegetables want to be eaten. You'll be bursting with green energy, the good kind. And so check it out, my friends. Fieldofgreens.com, code Robert. All right. And so now let's get into the meat and potatoes on the day because there is a lot of business to attend to. Donald Trump indicted and arraigned for the second time. And for those of us who've been here for some time, we think this is part of a longer effort, something that's been going on for quite a long time, January 6th, and even the fake investigations and attempted prosecutions of Trump going all the way back to 2016. And so we've been concerned that this would be happening, and we've been prognosticating that it would. And what is all this hemming and hawing about January 6th for if they don't actually remove him, right? If they're talking about what a monster he is, it's like the boy who cries wolf too many times. And then suddenly the wolf comes in. So they've got to do something. They think Trump is the wolf. They have to go after him. And so we all knew this day was coming, but here it is. He showed up. He got arraigned. This was the second time, but this is a different level. This is the federal government now actively going against Joe Biden's political opponent, right? So this is the moment. You could say the argument there evaporates with Alvin Bragg. Alvin Bragg's not running against Donald Trump. Joe Biden is. And his Justice Department just crossed that threshold, something that's never been done before. And now they'll turn around and say, well, it's Donald Trump. And so, of course, it's never been done before because we've never had a president like Donald Trump. He's so bad. What was so bad? What did he do? Some boxes in his Mar-a-Lago residence. All right. And if we compare and contrast that to the litany of other people who are also presidential candidates who also did things massively worse than that, the standards seem unfair. And so the default in this country is now no longer the default. We've made it hundreds of years without doing this, without crossing this line. We've had many other people who have been bad people, allegedly, according to the other side. In fact, maybe every one of them. And yet administrations have not hit the button. They've not turned their key on this mutually assured destruction era. And so it's a sad day, honestly, that we are now crossing this threshold because the pressure to go the other way is going to mount. And the old era of the United States in which we didn't prosecute political opponents is now gone. There's precedent for it now. And there's been a lot of wise people, I think a lot wiser people than the people we have in charge currently who were in charge previously. And they made the decision not to do this. Ever. And I'm sure this has bubbled up many times. Can we prosecute this person? Can we do this? Can we do, maybe can we? And they've all worked against doing that for the greater good because we're supposed to be on the same team. No matter what you think of the other side, we're supposed to be on Team America, not at Team each other's throats. But that's where we're at now. And they want to imprison Trump, and they're prosecuting him in the federal courts. And this is just the beginning. I think that the D.C. filings are going to be much worse. And they're also going to be another Georgia set of filings, which I'm sure will come out too. And so the fragilities, the exposure points continue to increase. But now that the federal government is involved, it's all got cover. They extend their big arms. They extend the entire weight of the Justice Department behind their efforts. And it's Joe Biden prosecuting his number one threat in this country. It's a shocking thing that has happened. It's shocking to me that more Senate Republicans and other people in positions of power aren't outraged about it, but they're blinded by their hatred of Trump. They just think that if he's removed, everything can go back to normal and the old grift will get right back on track. So they just scurry away and cower like little weenies in the corner, not playing while this gigantic scam, this corrupt prosecution unfolds before our eyes. So we have to set the level on that before we dive in because this is historic. This is the day. Trump arrives for his federal prosecution in Miami. And C-SPAN was there, a ton of media was there. There were protesters, but I saw some numbers and headlines that were saying that there was maybe as many media as there were protesters there. This is what it sounded like. On the scene, you can see they're at 3rd Street and something. The Trump motorcade making its way through. We got some cheers. And it looks like they're going into a garage, and it's an underground garage where the media did not have access to. And so people were wondering if they were going to see Trump walk out, but the answer is no. Because they went underground. Not much more activity there. You see a little bit more movement as the cars move around. And so, interesting scene as people showed up. Now, as the day unfolded, there were more and more people who appeared. There were some protesters. There were some counter-protesters. There were some counter-protesters. And previously here, we've talked about Antifa saying that they were going to be there. And we know that there were a lot of different interests at play on this day in Miami. But Alina Abba, she came out and she delivered a fiery statement. And Fox News picked it up. In fact, a lot of the media did. And the media was getting blamed on Twitter because the people on Twitter were saying, why are you platforming Alina Abba? It's because she's a very brilliant legal commentator. Hello.
Member of Trump's legal team representative.
Hillary Clinton. Joe Biden himself retained possession of classified documents that have not been prosecuted. And none of them came into possession of those documents while they were president. None of them were president who, as the head and sole member of the executive branch, has the power to summarily declassify documents. The decision to pursue charges against President Trump while turning a blind eye to others is emblematic of the corruption that we have here.
Right on,
we are
Alina.
at a turning point in our nation's history. The targeting, prosecution of a leading political opponent is the type of thing you see in dictatorships like Cuba and Venezuela.
That's true.
It is commonplace there for rival candidates to be prosecuted, persecuted, and put into jail. What is being done to the President Trump should terrify all citizens of this country.
It does.
These are not the ideals that our democracy is founded upon.
It does. It does terrify me. It terrifies the heck out of me. Because Trump has unlimited resources, essentially, relative to the rest of us. Trump can weather this storm because he has a huge, gigantic portion of America at his back. But you know who doesn't? Everybody else. Anybody else. Pick somebody who wants to start a nonprofit, who wants to go challenge the government and speak out against them. Or somebody wants to start a cause, right? A charitable thing or a business or anything. And they want to speak truth to power. And the DOJ comes to breathe down their neck. And they say, oh, you've done something illegal. People don't have resources to fight back against this stuff. And so Trump does, but it's the dam, right? If Trump falls on this and the FBI and the DOJ and the Biden administration have their way, do you think they just stop with Trump? Oh, okay, I guess we're just going to use this power that we now have and just return it back into the drawer like we're never going to use it again? No. It will be open season on every Republican, which is why it's been so embarrassing that they have been cowering and not responding to this, because it's their own livelihood that's on the line here.
This is not our America. Thank you.
So what's happening right now inside the courthouse? Has he been arrested? Has he been fingerprinted? Has a mugshot been taken? Walk us through what's happening here now.
President Trump is in a very unique position where he doesn't need to be given a mugshot, obviously. He is not a flight risk. He is the leading candidate of the GOP at the moment. He is going through a process that has been coordinated with Secret Service.
Yeah, he's not going to flee the country. Hello, he's trying to run the country again. He already did it once for 4 years.
And it will all be handled seamlessly.
And thank you guys. The attorneys.
All right, Alina Abba with a nice statement out there telling us what a corrupt joke this whole thing is. And of course, she's dead right about it, because she's an astute legal observer. And we also want to know what happened at the arraignment. The New York Times had probably, 1,000 reporters there, as usual, salivating over this. And it's a big deal. This is what they've been waiting for. I mean, literally. They should be doing cartwheels. And I'm sure there are people here. There's probably people in this country having parties and popping champagne tonight. But I don't think they know what they've done. I don't think that they recognize what happens when you cross this threshold. It's not good. Here is the latest. Former Trump, they say, pleaded not guilty, from the New York Times, in federal court in Miami on Tuesday to criminal charges that he risked the disclosure of secrets. After arriving from his nearby Doral resort, Trump was booked and escorted to the 13th floor courtroom of the Wilkie Ferguson Courthouse downtown Miami. Inside the courtroom, Mr. Trump, wearing a dark suit and a red tie, sat with his arms crossed at the defense table while the magistrate judge overseeing the hearing described the indictment. One of his lawyers, Todd Blanche, entered a plea on Mr. Trump's behalf, which is normal. The defense attorney will do the talking. Trump doesn't have to say anything. So they went in, they waived the reading. They said, Trump, you've been indicted on 37 counts. Do you want me to read all of them to you? The lawyer said, no, Your Honor, we waive the reading. Okay, and as to all 37 counts, how do you plead? And so Todd Blanche stood up there and he said, we most certainly enter a plea of not guilty. The judge said, okay. Now, nearly 2.5 years after, which is true, because Trump is not guilty, and said they enter the plea. Now, nearly 2.5 years after leaving the White House, Trump, they say twice impeached, twice acquitted, I'd say, previously charged in an unrelated case, is still under investigation. Now, Trump's personal aide, Walt Nauta, who is charged with lying to investigators and scheming with Trump, also appeared before the judge, but did not enter a plea. Lawyer asked for a 2-week extension because he needed a local lawyer to sponsor him, right? So we've got separate attorneys for the two, which is, obviously great because you want no conflict of interest here. Now, this is going to be an interesting thing to continue to monitor. They're charged as co-defendants in this case, right? It's federal government, United States of America versus Trump and versus Nauta. And Nauta needs his own attorney to represent him because he's got his own interests. But something will be curious to see if they offer different plea deals, right? What happens in co-defendant cases, prosecutors get very squirrely about this, is they might threaten Nauta with his own lawyer with a major penalty, right? They'll say, listen, you're going to go to prison for 20 years unless you cooperate against Trump. So they're going to try to flip him even after this case has started and use the co-defendants against one another. They tried to do that before the case was even filed, but that's going to accelerate now. Now, currently they're on the same side, but the pressure will come to bear. They're going to try to crack these two apart. Magistrate judge who oversaw the hearing ordered Trump, don't discuss the case with your co-defendant or any other witnesses common. The judge said he understood that two men must speak on a daily basis, but said anything related to the case, go through your lawyers. All right. Trump was represented also by Christopher Keese, former Florida Solicitor General, and Mr. Blanche, prominent New York defense lawyer. Legal team has been in flux. Other two lawyers resigned shortly after the indictment, which was a bummer. I actually like James Trusty. I thought he was quite good. Mr. Smith, the special counsel, was also there, so they were looking at each other in the courtroom. While Judge Goodman oversaw Tuesday's hearing, Mr. Trump's case has been assigned to Judge Eileen Cannon. She was great at the first outset of this scam. Remember, they raided Trump's residence and they gobbled up a ton of data, a ton of boxes. Trump's lawyers said the FBI took more than they should have. And we don't trust them to go through it and tell us what's attorney-client privilege or what's Trump's executive privilege notes. So they wanted a special master to come in and act as a referee because they didn't trust the FBI. Well, Judge Cannon granted the special master. Now, that ultimately went up to the Court of Appeals and they reversed that, but it was still a major win for Trump and for the case because Cannon wasn't accepting the government's crap. They said, no, we'll do a real good job and we'll separate this out and we'll give Trump back the stuff we shouldn't look at. We've got a taint team and all this stuff. And she said, yeah, but you've already botched it here, here, and here, and here. So she was holding them accountable. Now, technically, the Court of Appeal said she didn't have the legal authority to do what she did, but it doesn't mean that it wasn't the equitable thing to do, right? My point is she's recognizing it. So after departing the courthouse, Trump stopped briefly at Versailles, a renowned Cuban restaurant, and greeted a crowd of supporters. He planned to travel back and deliver a statement later on Tuesday, which he will do later tonight. So this is really the proceeding, right? And it's not actually complicated. These are very, very quick. Oftentimes, if it's not the former president going through this, it's 5 minutes. I've done many arraignments. and they happen very quickly. It's typically a wave reading. You set new dates, and then you come back, and you'll have a lot more substantive stuff to attend to at those following dates. But you want to set release conditions, make sure somebody's not a danger to themselves, a danger to the community. They're not a flight risk. They're not, going to reoffend or do anything else that's harmful. And of course, Trump is not going to do anything. He's never been convicted of a crime his whole life until he became president and started to interfere with the Democrats. Then they decided to change that game a little bit. So very brief proceedings. We'll take a look and see if we can pin down when the new date is, but all said and done, they were in and out. And so here is what it looked like as Trump was leaving the scene. And there was something interesting that happened. We have a little bit of an insurrection on his exit.
This is the motorcade of the former president leaving the courthouse after he has just pleaded not guilty.
You recognize that voice?
What are you seeing from your vantage
There's
point?
Trump. See you, Trump.
Well, you could see here, Caitlin, all of the Trump supporters are now out on the street.
Where's Jail Guy?
For the former president here to pass by. You see here one of the SUVs. We believe he's in the third SUV or the middle SUV here. You could see, let's see if he's in this one, Caitlin. Yeah, there he is waving. He's waving. There he is. Thumbs up, Caitlin.
See you, Trump.
And you could see here.
We're going to get through this, buddy.
The Secret Service now pulling someone. The Secret Service after someone ran. And obviously now the Secret Service pushed some people back, and the officers pushing people back. Oh my God!
Wow.
So chaos here, Caitlin.
Little chaos.
Which, it's probably not unexpected given the fact that there are no barricades here, and many of the people have been able to stay on the street.
Wow, almost like a little insurrection.
What's that, Caitlin?
Yeah, and Shimon, was it clear to you if that was a Trump supporter or a counter-protester who ran out in front of the
Who was
motorcade?
that? Caitlin said, who was that? Who ran out in front of there? Was that a Trumper?
That's right. There was he's now on the ground there. You could see in our shot. He ran in front of the motorcade, and police are now holding him down and arresting him.
Oh.
But this is an individual. See,
Oh, he was running out in front of cars
take a listen
earlier.
at what's going on here.
Oh, it's Jail Guy.
That's right, Caitlin. He was running in front of cars earlier. The police are now trying to.
Was that a pro-Trump guy in a jail suit?
I think we may have lost Shimon there, but obviously that's
I don't think
what
so.
you saw was the former president's motorcade exiting the courthouse. It's a bit chaotic there. Of course, there are not better barricades keeping the people who have arrived here at the courthouse, been here for several hours, away from that. Obviously, this is the former president's motorcade leaving as he has just now departed the courthouse.
Yeah, I thought that guy's name was. I think I recognize this guy. He looks related to somebody. I think his name is Clay. I think his name might be Clay. Clay Schmeps, I think might be his name. Here, let's watch.
Here's the video. We can show you just a moment here.
Oh, and they speed up in the car, and the car even turned.
That individual was arrested.
Yeah.
We saw, or at least apprehended.
More people seem to start to try to run in.
Insurrection,
because
man.
the entire perimeter was not secured in the same standard way that we see so often. And so people were allowed to get much closer. So, I mean, people at home should understand there are people walking through right now all over the place in an area that would normally be completely locked down.
And this is the person that rushed the vehicle being carried away by police. Let's go to Sam Brock. Sam, I don't know.
Yeah, he almost got taken out there. It's a nice little hit there by that Secret Service guy. Watch it one more time. It's like super slow-mo.
We can show you just a moment here.
Boom!
Oh, and they speed up in the car, and the car even turned.
That individual was arrested.
Yeah.
We saw, or at least apprehended.
More people seem to start to try to run in.
Yeah, Clay Schmeps. Must have been a Clay Schmeps over there. Must have been related to, I don't know, related to somebody familiar with us. I don't know. Clay or something. I'm not sure. Now, there was more Trump before he made his way back. As we heard, he did stop. He did pause for a moment of prayer. And this is what it looked like. All right, prayers for Trump as he makes his way out of Miami for the day's arraignment. And so there is going to be another court date scheduled. And of course, as soon as we get that date, we will make sure we have it scheduled as we continue to cover. Now, I want to turn to the court docket. Very busy Trump prosecution docket. You see, we have a case number now, CR 80101, out of the Southern District of Florida. Today was the arraignment day. And I want to go through this and take a look at several different documents that are on the docket. And here's what we've got. So you can follow along at home. This is a website called Court Listener. And you can actually sign up for an account. It's free, and you can access a lot of this stuff. And this will give us a detail on exactly what's happening. You can see the filing was on June 8th. The case has been assigned to Judge Eileen Cannon, and we've got a ton of activity. So before any of this stuff became public, back on June 8th, they filed the indictment. We've read through that here. There was also an order that was granting the motion to seal. Okay, this is from the special counsel, so the whole thing was sealed. And we didn't get to see any of it. Then the summons went out, right? This is what Donald Trump referenced when he said his post on True Social. He said, I woke up, I got this summons, and it's not telling me much, but it's telling me I got to show up in court. So the indictment drops, it's all sealed, the summons goes out to Trump, the summons goes out to Nauta. Then, after Trump receives the summons, the government now files a request to unseal the case, a motion to unseal by the United States. Then we get the order to unseal. So those happened a couple days ago, and I want to share those with you here today. This was the original motion to seal. This was filed by Jack Smith, the special counsel, the special prosecutor. Pretty basic stuff, but I want to share it. It says special counsel through the assistant special counsel. And we want to keep tabs as this prosecution moves forward about all the different prosecutors who are involved in this. You know, Jack Smith is the special counsel, but they divert a lot of this to other people in their office. And we've been already hearing major allegations of misconduct against these people. This one in particular, Jay Bratt. And Jay Bratt is the person allegedly who put improper pressure on the lawyer for Walt Nauta, saying to Walt's lawyer that, hey, I know you want to be a judge, and if you're not cooperative here, maybe you won't be a judge anymore, right? So it's important to pay attention to who these people are as this progresses. And so this is all just, boilerplate stuff, but I guess this is not boilerplate because this is a president. So they say special counsel respectfully requests the indictment, everything related to this be sealed. Here's what we've got in support of this motion. On June 8th, the grand jury returned an indictment charging Trump 31 counts willful retention, also charges Trump and Nauta with conspiracies and concealment and all of the other things. As alleged in the indictment, the charges arise from Trump's unlawful possession and retention of classified documents when he was president, and to conceal all of that from the FBI and a federal grand jury. The special counsel's office informed Trump on May 19th and Nauta on May 24th of their status as targets of the grand jury investigation. So that was a little bit ago. Special counsel's office has not confirmed to Trump or Nauta the decision to seek an indictment or their return. All right. Now, the events leading to the indictment have been subject of extensive public scrutiny and media reporting. The office anticipates from the special counsel that public disclosure of the indictment will generate additional public media interest. You're kidding. The special counsel's office has requested the court issue a summons commanding the appearance on June 13th, which was what happened. The above considerations mitigate in favor of delaying public disclosure. Another sub-theme on this entire prosecution, in addition to the misconduct, is going to be the attempts to bury all of this so that we cannot see any of it. I'm very curious how much of this is going to be sealed as this moves forward and delayed. I mean, we've covered this here. We've got Ghislaine Maxwell and other cases where we almost saw almost nothing relative to what we see in other cases. So they're saying this is important to keep this all under seal until their first appearance. Same reasons support the sealing of this case as they do in other cases, and they detail them for us here. They say to attorneys for Trump and Nauta to make arrangements for their booking and all those things, so that local law enforcement and federal agencies can have logistics prepared for the booking and the arrest, to protect witnesses against harassment, and to keep all of this under seal as necessary. A proposed order is attached, right? Now, the judge obviously did that. Now, after the announcement, here was the motion to unseal. And so we have another prosecutor who enters the game. So they get the judge to seal it, which is pretty normal, right? That's not unusual. Actually, I think in most cases they're sealed. And part of that is because you don't want the defendant to know all this stuff is going on before they turn themselves in, or before a judge sets release conditions. Because if you made it all public, the defendant might just leave. Oh crap! I'm checking the court docket. I've got charges filed against me. I better get out of here. So here, after the news of this broke, they said the conditions supporting the court's sealing order no longer prevail, and unsealing the indictment now is in the public interest. So that came in after Trump made his announcement. And the other prosecutor who's on this case now is Karen Gilbert. And we've heard some criticisms about her as well. So what ultimately happened is they obviously unsealed the filings. There was the order unsealing this that came out from the judge. That's what this looked like here. Judge wrote, "This matter comes before the court, and we find that the sealing is no longer in the public interest, so we vacate it. Therefore, we can see the indictment and the following action." So a lot of mechanical stuff there. Now, as we move on, once this hit the news, the media wanted to jump in on this case. So they file a motion to intervene and unseal, and the judge issued an order as to this as well. There was also a request for pre-hearing photography and video recording. Right now, another aspect of this is what can we see? The Derek Chauvin case was televised. Kyle Rittenhouse was televised. But this is a federal case. So is it possible that both sides make an agreement, they stipulate, Trump says, we want it all televised. I'm sure he would. And the government says, we want it all televised. Could the court make the decision to do that? The judge issued an order. Let's take a look at the motions that were submitted on this. I wanted to actually, this is the press motion. And they filed this, or this was the, let's see here, what do we have here? Yeah, this is the press submitting this. Filed June 9th. They write, on the evening of June 8th, Trump announced that he was indicted, facing federal charges, posted that on Truth Social. We were live when that happened. Trump's attorney publicly confirmed that he faces 7 charges, basically a breakout from the Espionage Act. This was before this all got unsealed. They said because of the unprecedented nature of this event, the media, CNN, ABC, CBS, Bloomberg, AP, all of them, Wall Street Journal, Scripps, Gray Media, they're actually referencing Trump's Truth Social post. They're saying he got indicted, so they filed it. We respectfully move to intervene for the limited purpose of seeking the unsealing of this indictment. And, these are always fun because it's a rare moment when we can really agree with the media. It's like, wow, I totally agree with everything the media says. Like, the public has an interest in all of this. We should see all of it. And the courts are like, well, not really. We kind of don't care about the public that much. Neither Trump nor the government will be able to articulate any interest in secrecy sufficient to overcome the right of access to this court, the tremendous public interest in the document, and Trump's disclosure of the charges he faces. Moreover, the compelling interest that the parties and the public share in this, in preserving a fair trial, right? I mean, how do we know that it's a fair trial unless we can see it? That's the point of it being public. So that it has legitimacy, which is a word that the DOJ I don't think even cares about anymore, or the FBI. In favor of immediate access to the indictment. Give it to us without an independent source, of which they did, but you get our point. This is going to be an ongoing battle. So this argument, we're going to have to just keep digging out of the closet because they're going to try to hide a lot of this stuff, or at least the government is. Now, what happens in Florida might be a different scenario than what happens in DC, because we've got two totally different judges, I'm sure, when that comes. Without an independent source of factual information in the form of this judicial record, movements, the press, America, cannot verify the very public claims that Trump and his legal team are already making about this action. So even though the media is in general oppositional to Trump, I agree with them that we do need to, I would like to see more, not less, as a general rule. Now the search, here's the background that justifies this. They say, as the 11th Circuit Court recounted, in January, movers transferred documents from the White House to Trump's residence, Mar-a-Lago. Over the course of the year, consistent with responsibilities, the government sought to get those back. January, after months of discussion, they say the FBI reviewed the records and they found that there were documents. Now, after having developed evidence that even more classified information is still there, then they got a grand jury subpoena and they obtained more documents. Through a declaration accompanying the documents, they said that we certified a diligent search had been conducted. And after that, the Justice Department sought a search warrant, presented an FBI agent's sworn affidavit to Judge Reinhardt. And we covered all of this in detail when it broke. That was back in August 8th when the raid took place. Reinhardt, and again, this is going to be another thing to challenge. All right, now that charges have officially been filed, you want to challenge every part of the case. And so think of a criminal case like all these different chain links that you connect one to the other, as you just go down the list. And so you've got the government that starts over here and they say, you know, we're going to prosecute you based on this allegation. And they got to connect all these bits of evidence until they actually discover the evidence. And then they use that evidence against you. You know, it goes from a theory into obtaining the evidence that they can use against you. And one of those links that connects the theory to the evidence is the search warrant. And so the goal is to break the link, break the search warrant, challenge the validity of that, to break the links of the chains that will incriminate somebody. And the search warrant, as we recalled when we read through it last time, was extremely broad. It's lacking in what we call particularity, and it can be challenged. And so you want to challenge that and say there was no probable cause in the first place. And there will be many of these different things that are challenged, including, for example, challenging the breach of attorney-client privilege. If the attorney-client privilege was breached improperly, according to, you know, this judge or this circuit, the evidence that was obtained as a result of that breach is no longer admissible. So that's the goal. If the search warrant was invalid, that link is broken, and everything else that comes after that, think of it like an anchor, gets dropped off into the bottom of the sea. So you want to sever those every time you can. Bruce Reinhardt, though, he agreed based on whatever the FBI presented, and the judge doesn't know any better. He's listening to the FBI. They said a bunch of stuff in there, so maybe they falsified something or lied about something, as we know, as we get to discover this. And remember, we couldn't discover anything last time. When this went through the first go-round, the court said we couldn't see the discovery because there were no charges. This is all part of an investigation, really. So Trump's, you know, presumption of innocence and due process rights and all of those things, his right to access the discovery, was not available because it was still at the investigatory phase. So this judge, Bruce Reinhardt, and, you know, we don't know any background on this guy other than what we talked about last time, but he got the warrant. He's relying on the FBI. We know the FBI lies about warrants, makes up stuff, gets FISA warrants for nothing, right? And so if that warrant is problematic, everything they discovered as a result of the warrant is called fruit of the poisonous tree, and it has to go. So believe that evidence of criminal violations would likely be found. The judge thus issued a search warrant for storage rooms and authorized the seizure of all the things. On August 8th, FBI agents executed the search warrant at Mar-a-Lago. They seized 13,000 documents. Wow, that's a lot. He's only been charged with, what, 31 documents? So they took 13,000 and then charged him with 31 of them, all right, totaling more than 22,000 pages of material. 15 of the 33 seized boxes contain classification markings. So 15 of the 33. We'll keep note of that. And remember, there were boxes moved around. So were those boxes that were moved around, they know that those had classified documents? Every single one of them? We'll have to see. Were boxes moved that didn't have classified documents in them? Probably, including 3 such documents found in desks in Trump's office. All told, the search uncovered over 100 documents marked confidential, secret, or top secret. Again, he was not charged with 100 documents, right? Otherwise, we would see over 100 charges. So why not? Why did they decide to charge the 31 that they charged? On August 10th, the press began filing motions to unseal all of this stuff. This was the case that we covered months ago. Over the government objections, Reinhart granted those motions to unseal in part. He said, yep, it is a foundational principle that we see this stuff. In August, Trump filed a new action in the district court for getting the special master. As a result of that lawsuit, Trump sued the DOJ, said, you guys are not being fair with my documents. You came in, you stole, essentially, right? 13,000 documents, 22,000 pages of material. You've charged him with 31. So he said, I don't trust you to properly go through those 22,000 pages and do a fair job. Why? Because you're the FBI and you've been screwing me for the past several years. So he filed a lawsuit for a referee to manage the process of going through the document, special master. Public learned about the details, and then the special counsel investigation launched. So Trump made his announcement to run, right? And then after that, that's when Garland announced the appointment of special counsel. Trump declares, yeah, you know what, I'm going to do this again. And they say, oh, perfect. Well, we're going to bog you down with the special counsel and 2 different criminal prosecutions, which I think there'll still be a second one that comes. And I think the DC case is going to be worse than the Florida case, quite frankly. So now this is their campaign. Joe Biden's not going to be able to host a rally, so they're just going to prosecute their opponents. This is the new America. They launched their special counsel. His job was to dig into classified documents as well as obstruction. So then he gets indicted. On the evening of June 8th, Trump publishes a series of messages talking about this boxes hoax, which is true, proclaims himself an innocent man, which is true, at least according to the Hillary Clinton precedent. I mean, if she's an innocent woman, he's definitely an innocent man. So Trump posted the statement saying the corrupt Biden administration informed him about this. He also posted a 4-minute video, and later that night, Jim Trusty confirmed that he'd received a summons facing a total of 7 charges, and we covered that whole segment here. So the media really wants in, and honestly, we want in too. As the 11th Circuit recognized, the press has standing. They say that the indictment party can overcome the right of access to the indictment, and the indictment has all been unsealed already, so it's all kind of moot, which is why are going to be bubble back up when other stuff is attempted to be sealed. We're going to basically see the same motion again, so we might as well just cover it. Now, in evaluating whether there is good cause to overcome the presumption of access, courts consider the following factors: whether the records are sought for illegitimate purposes, whether it's going to promote public understanding of historically significant events, right? Yeah. Is this illegitimate? No. I think that factor weighs in favor of release. Is this historically significant? Yeah. And whether the press has already gotten access to this. Court also considers other things. And so it says this weighs heavily in favor of access. We want this unsealed. We want access to the historic criminal proceedings. And they say that redactions alone should suffice. So if there's anything problematic, just go ahead and redact it, and that'll be the end of it. So in conclusion, the media is telling the court, in light of the colossal public interest here in the indictment of Trump, we ask you grant our motion to intervene, drafted by Charles Tobin. Now, this is the response from the judge, and this gives us some instructions on what we can expect from this court. Here's what they say. In response to that motion, they say a coalition of local and news organizations, describing themselves, the judge says, as a press coalition, filed a motion about the arraignment of President Trump. Although the title appears to limit the motion to only tomorrow's first appearance and the arraignment of President Trump, it also seeks relief for all future proceedings. So the arraignment's over, but how are the future proceedings going to be dealt with? The judge says the press makes two broad requests. One, it wants the court to permit a limited number of photographs and video recordings. Are we going to get to see these things? In the courtroom or outside the courtroom before the proceedings begin. And they also want immediate release of, quote, recordings of the proceedings and future proceedings. The judge says, all right, listen. Here's what I'm going to say. The undersigned, this judge, who is not going to be on the case for long, this judge is named Jonathan Goodman. He says the following. The undersigned, me, will start with the common sense jurisdictional point and a simple observation. Judge says, I follow the, quote, stay in your lane philosophy. He says, my involvement in this case will almost certainly end tomorrow. I'm handling tomorrow's first appearance and arraignment only because of my status as duty magistrate judge in Miami division of this court. This guy got his lucky day. He just drew duty. He's just it's his assignment, and he gets to arraign the president. He says, I am not the magistrate judge paired with Judge Eileen Cannon, and it is highly unlikely that I'm going to be asked to be involved further. So I do not feel it is appropriate for me to rule on what happens in future proceedings when I'm not the judge and I won't have any involvement. Now, you rely on local rule 77.1, but that local rule actually prohibits all forms, this judge says. So when we talk about different laws here in this channel, we'll talk about federal laws, we'll talk about state laws, but there's also something called local rules that exist in courts. They're kind of like court laws for lawyers practicing in different jurisdictions. So Arizona or even different cities might have different local rules than other cities about how to prepare your filings, what fonts to use and how to space things and all this stuff. So locally in this court, local rule 77.1 was brought in by the media to say, release this stuff, let us take pictures. But the truth is that local rule actually prohibits all forms of photographing, audio, video recording, broadcasting, televising within any court in the district, including courtrooms, chambers, adjacent rooms, hallways, doors, stairways, elevators, or even offices. Whether the court is even in session or even at recess, you can't take pictures. Oh, so the judge says, all right, that is a broad rule, broad prohibition. And to be sure, the rule does have an exception for photographing in connection with the naturalization hearings or special proceedings if approved. But the argument that tomorrow's first appearance are special proceedings, no, that's not true. They're not special proceedings. This is just a regular old arraignment. The special proceedings term is analogized to a naturalization proceedings. Tomorrow's proceedings are undoubtedly, quote, special, that's true, in that they are genuinely historic and of huge importance, but they are not in any way similar to a naturalization proceeding. The motion does not cite any case or legal authority which support the view that photographs are permitted, and allowing photographs would undermine the massive security arrangements already put in place. So the judge says, look, shifting focus to your second request, the judge is also not convinced that the immediate disclosure of the audio is warranted. Tomorrow's proceedings will be public, that's true. News media representatives and ordinary citizens will be permitted to attend the hearing on a first-come, first-served basis. But because the undersigned anticipates there will not be enough court seats in the room to accommodate everyone, the undersigned judge has arraigned, with the help of the clerk of the court, to have a live video feed broadcast into the spillover room. So many people in the media were in an observation room, essentially. They weren't actually in the courtroom. They were just watching it on monitors. So those wishing to see and hear the proceedings will have the opportunity to do that. So additionally, judge says, I have already coordinated with the court reporter to provide an expedited transcript of tomorrow's hearing, which will be great. We'll see if that's available. The undersigned anticipates the transcript will in fact be available tomorrow. So based on these reasons, the undersigned denies, but without prejudice, the motion. Is noted, my jurisdiction only covers tomorrow's hearing, not the remainder of the case. So refile your motion with Judge Cannon later and let her rule on it. That was signed in Miami, Florida by Judge Jonathan Goodman. And so those were the major updates on the case. We had some other filings. We have Christopher Kesey entered as Trump's attorney, and this was an entry on the record of permanent appearance. And so here is what that looks like. So Trump is getting different lawyers now out on his team, and Christopher Kesey's a heavy hitter, no doubt. Here's his notice of appearance. He's entering the game. He says, "My name is Christopher Kesey. I filed this notice of appearance on behalf of Donald Trump. I agree to represent Trump for trial, all proceedings, and on appeal. Counsel acknowledges responsibility to advise Trump of the right to appeal and to file a timely notice of appeal if requested to do so. Counsel hereby states that this appearance is in conformity with the requirement of local rules," referencing those again, "and the special rules governing lawyers." Now look at this in heavy capitalizations. "Fee disputes between counsel and client shall not be a basis for withdrawal from representation." Signed by Christopher Kesey. Right? So the judge wants to make sure that you're on the case. You don't get 3 months into the case and say, "Well, I'm not getting paid anymore, so I have to get off of it now." So that's Christopher Kesey signing in on behalf of Trump. We had some other filings. We had an attorney update. Don't have any updates on that. We had a paperless order. Let's do a refresh and see if we have anything new that dropped here. So I don't know if we have a transcript out or if that's available yet, but let's take a quick search on the Twitterverse and see if we have it, because that would be kind of cool to go through. No, I don't see anything yet available. All right, so we'll have to see if there's anything tomorrow on that. But that is the update on the Trump docket, and there will be a lot more to cover. We're going to be spending some serious time on the Trump docket, so we'll get familiar with everything that is going on there soon. And now, my friends, we got to talk about some reaction. Joe Biden smirking away. His top political opponent, the man who very well might beat him and remove him from the office of the presidency, is being prosecuted, and Joe Biden couldn't be happier. And there's a lot of reaction to this. Rubio says, this is kind of it. This is not a good day at all. Bad situation when the country continues to decline. We've got reaction from Byron Donalds, Ted Cruz, and JD Vance actually has a plan. He's going to start doing some stuff in the Senate to put a halt to this. But do you remember when Joe Biden came out and told us all the following? He actually was very specific about this. People were concerned that maybe Trump was going to win again. And he said, no, don't worry about that. Now that we're in charge, we're going to do everything that we can to stop him.
So the entire genesis of that G7 conversation was tied to your predecessor, who is about to launch another campaign. So how do you reassure them if that is the reason for their questioning, that the former president will not return, or that his political movement, which is still very strong, will not once again take power in the United States?
Well, we just have to demonstrate that he will not take power by, if he does run, making sure he, under legitimate efforts of our Constitution, does not become the next president again.
Huh. Under the legitimate efforts of our Constitution, which are very differently defined than what many of us would say are legitimate efforts under the Constitution. Biden has a totally different interpretation of the Constitution. I don't even think he really cares that much about it at all. So it is very curious that he would use all the levers of government, all the powers he has, including the DOJ and the FBI, to go after his political opponent. And he's openly telling us that essentially he's going to use the power of the office to remove his opponents, and he's doing it. He's executing.
That the former president will not return, or that his political movement, which is still very strong, will not once again take power in the United States.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
We just have to demonstrate that he will not take power by, if he does run, making sure he, under legitimate efforts of our Constitution, does not become the next president again.
Yikes. All right, so that is going to come back to bite him in the butt. Now, as that has happened, Joe Biden got asked about it today as the arraignment unfolded right in front of his eyes. Here he was with the Secretary of NATO. And this meeting was rescheduled because Joe Biden had an emergency root canal yesterday. He was supposed to meet with Jen Stoltzberger yesterday, but Joe Biden had a root canal, just like America's having a root canal under his administration. And now he has rescheduled his meeting. And as the meeting ends, he gets asked a good question. And watch his little smirk as he enjoys.
Thank you for your leadership.
President, have you discussed?
Mr. President,
thank you very much,
have you read the Trump indictment, sir?
Everyone, thank you very much.
Do you agree with Dr. Biden that she was surprised Republican?
Thank you very much, everyone. We're going to begin exiting this way. Thank you, everyone, very much. Move this way. Everyone, please move this way.
Joe Biden's very happy about it, not commenting on it. He just sits around. I have no idea what they're doing over there at the DOJ. I have no idea. No, I'm totally separated. I am not monitoring my own Justice Department as they shatter historical precedent in this country. So some people are very concerned about it. Marco Rubio is one of them. And here he was explaining why this is such a big problem.
How this will all play out. This is not going to be a 6-month thing. I mean, this is going to drag on right through the election season, irrespective of what happens in the primaries, and further divide the country and take us away from the things we should be focused on, which is what my book is about.
Yeah, congratulations on the book, by the way.
Thank you.
Could I just one quick follow-up to that, Senator?
Yep.
So do you believe he should still be running in the middle of all this? Should it drag out that long?
Yeah, if you're Donald Trump, and he's made it very clear, he believes he's done nothing wrong. He believes that's his position. That's the position his lawyers are going to outline in court. Why would he drop out of a race? But I also think you have to understand this. This guy's now been repeatedly targeted. I mean, this is not in a vacuum. This is constant from the day.
Somebody should tell that to Bill Barr. He had a difficult time remembering that yesterday when he was talking about this. He said, gosh, yeah, Trump has been, absolutely harassed for years. Crossfire Hurricane, everything in 2020, the list goes on. And there's been multiple people who are at the FBI, no longer at the FBI because of their involvement. But Barr, for some reason, wakes up one morning and just decides, well, this time everybody's ethical. Now the DOJ and the FBI are all legitimate, nonpartisan, totally apolitical, trustworthy people. Give me a break.
He came down the escalator, but most importantly, from the day he got elected, we spent 3 years and basically millions of dollars chasing after this theory that some organization, Washington Post, won a Pulitzer Prize on a fake story, that the Russians were working hand in hand with the Trump organization
patting themselves.
To steal an election.
Great article.
I mean, then 2 impeachments, including one after he was out of office. I mean, you reach a point in which you're going to fight back against these things, and dropping out is surrender.
Dropping out is surrendering, and Trump is not going to do that. Now, Marco takes it a step further, and he says, this is a real serious thing. Our country is in decline because we have no shared common values anymore. We have no shared words. We can't even agree on gender and pronouns. How can we possibly agree on policy, on economics, or energy? Obviously, that's not going to happen. And now, when you have somebody who can't even campaign, somebody who can't even lead, everything he touches turns to crap, he is now prosecuting his political opponents in the United States. It is a devolution. We continue to devolve into a country that's hard to recognize. Here's Rubio.
Do whatever we want. We can undertake a cultural hysteria, a ridiculous cultural hysteria that plays out. We had a lady, or a man that now claims to be a lady, going topless at the White House 2 days ago at a Pride celebration thing. I mean, we can do whatever we want. We can be as decadent as we want in our society and our culture. We can break our politics. We can take our institution and weaponize them for political purposes on both sides. You think this ends here? The next Republican president is going to be under tremendous pressure to bring charges and indict Joe Biden, his family, his crackhead son, whoever. The pressure is going to be extraordinary. They're going to turn us into, so we're decadent and we're in decline because we thought we could do anything we wanted with our economy. We could send our jobs and factories overseas, break our politics, break our culture, break our society. We don't need parents. We don't need neighborhood. We don't need family anymore. All these crazy ideas. And now reality's catching up, and it's hurting us badly. And today is, frankly, just a symptom of a much bigger problem, which you talk about here, and that is we no longer live in that world. We need to understand America's being challenged in a way it hasn't been challenged in 30 or 40 years, and we either respond or we are going to live in a world in which the most powerful and stable country in the world is going to be China, a communist dictatorship, not the United States.
He is unfortunately dead right about that. Our country is losing its ability to do anything. State capacity is falling rapidly. And this is something we talk a lot about on our locals, on our member-only streams, is these other stories about people who can't even build bus stations in San Francisco or LA costing $200,000 to put up a piece of metal. It's embarrassing and it's a joke, and the Chinese can execute. Whether you agree with them or not, they can execute. There are stories of them building train centers in like 9 hours. They bring, 5,000 people and build a whole stadium, in 2 days. And so the United States is here busy battling each other over pronouns. How can you build anything if you can't even agree on the pronouns to use when you're handing out your email assignments or something? It is totally insane. And we also have now a Justice Department that is breaking eras of historical precedent in order to remove somebody who has a better solution. Okay, that's the point here. The Democrats have one solution. Joe Biden presents a solution to America. Trump provides a different solution. America can make a decision. Let us pick. If America wants, as the Democrats say, classified documents hoarder, somebody who just is so reckless with these things, dropping them all over the floors at Mar-a-Lago, if America wants that person in, why don't we just go ahead and vote for him? But they know that what he offers is better than what they offer. So they've got to remove him from the field. It's the only way for them to win. And this is the same pattern happening on a much bigger scale that we've seen previously. They don't want to debate you on Twitter or Facebook. They don't want to talk to you about COVID policy. They want to shut you up and lock you down and say that their ideas are better and trust the science. But when all of this adds up, their sale is much worse than the other side's sale. And so just like people were suspended, thrown off the social media platforms, they're trying to deplatform Donald Trump from American politics and American civil life. And Rubio recognizes what a disaster it is. So now we've got other reaction. We've got Byron Donalds weighing in on this, and he does not let this fella on CNN get away with putting words into his mouth.
As a broader perspective, let's be very clear that what you see here is a political prosecution of Donald Trump, because former officials of our government who did not have declassification ability and were not the head of the executive branch, they did significantly worse things with material and classified material, and the Department of Justice, previous iterations, and they just basically turned a blind eye and moved down the road. And that is why the American people look at this, they think it's disgusting, and they think it's a two-tier justice system simply to go after President Trump.
Look, your view, and I think the view that reflects what I think Scott Jennings, who's been on our panel, has made clear a lot of Republicans feel based on what they've seen. I think these are very different.
Oh, no, not feel. No, it's not feel. Understand this. It is not feel. That is a fact. Hillary Clinton's documents, her emails were subpoenaed.
So tell me, based on this indictment here. They were subpoenaed by the Oversight Committee.
She destroyed them. Joe Biden took classified material as a United States senator. I'm a United States congressman. I am not allowed to remove classified documents. He took them as a United States senator. They were all over the place. That is a violation, actually, of the Espionage Act. And so there's been no talk, no dissemination, no investigation of any of those things.
So here's what I don't understand, though.
Moves at warp speed.
I don't mean to interrupt you.
Beautiful. So when this guy said a lot of Republicans feel, he said, no, we don't feel anything. It's a fact, okay? Stop trying to say that we're being emotional. This is the law. We actually can compare and contrast different elements. The law works this way. You can just go through and you can compare Did Hillary Clinton have top secret classified information? Yes or no? Yes. Did Trump? Yes. Okay, we've got that equal. Are there allegations of obstruction for both? Yeah, of course. Are they alleging that Trump didn't give the documents back after he was requested? Yes, that's in the indictment. What about Hillary? Her people used a hammer and bleach bit to shatter the chips, if you want to talk about obstruction. So you just compare and contrast all of these things. They talk about willful intent. That's another big talking point that I keep hearing from the left. Well, the difference here is willful intent. Hillary didn't have any willful intent to do this thing, and Trump was willful. What are you talking about? Did she have an email account on her server that was her personal email account that she was using on her cell phone when she was traveling around to other parts of the world in foreign territories, emailing about classified information on President Xi Jinping's Wi-Fi? Yeah, all of it is there. And you can say willful intent also exists with Trump. So you can do this just one by one by one. It's very dishonest that they don't do that. And they keep saying nobody's above the law. But according to the Hillary Clinton precedent, yeah, Hillary is above the law because Trump is being prosecuted under a new standard that her investigation set. It's massive hypocrisy. Ted Cruz calls it out. Here's what it sounds like.
At the end of the day, the biggest problem the Department of Justice has is the screaming hypocrisy. This breathlessly says, my God, he had a classified document, off with his head.
That's true.
And it doesn't say a word about why they have no concerns at all about Joe Biden, about all of the documents he had, not in one place, not in two places, in multiple places.
All across
left
America.
With no security, left stacked in the garage, unlocked garage. This is so obviously a double standard. This is a double standard driven by a Department of Justice that's blinded by hatred. I think they've convinced themselves that Trump actually is Adolf Hitler. And so nothing else matters. If you're going after Hitler, everything is justified.
It's all fair.
And, well, yes, Joe Biden did the same thing. Well, yes, Hillary Clinton did the same thing. But they're not Hitler. This is how their thinking goes. They're not Hitler, so it's fine. We like them. They're on our team. So it's not a crime if they do it. But boy, isn't this a good excuse to go after the devil. Looking at this indictment, I think the same thing today that I thought last week when it was announced. This is garbage.
It is garbage, Ted. He's dead right about that. So I think the double standard is a problem for them. I think it's not a big problem for them. I don't think they care about really what anybody thinks. They're moving forward. They know that they can take this prosecution, and the mainstream media is mostly going to comply and be happy about it. Even Fox News was kind of strange today, almost giddy, that Trump is being prosecuted. So they are executing, and now we've got J.D. Vance who has a solution. Maybe Merrick Garland can be made to play ball a little bit if they stonewall and slow down all of his nominees.
Hey guys, JD Vance here. I'm out on the steps of the U.S. Capitol, and I've heard from a lot of people that they're so frustrated, as I am, with the fact that Merrick Garland has used the Department of Justice for politics instead of law. And I think it's time we stop just whining about this problem and debating this problem and actually do something about it. So I've announced today that I will be holding all Department of Justice nominees that Merrick Garland will use, if confirmed, not to enforce the law impartially, which is his duty, but clearly to harass his political opponents. I think that we have to grind this department to a halt until Merrick Garland promises to do his job and stop going after his political opponents. Donald Trump is just one and in the most recent example of the fact that Merrick Garland uses his department for political purposes. We have Catholic fathers harassed for their pro-life activism. We, of course, have violent criminals walking the streets after the 2020 summer of riots. And if you're letting the violent criminals go free and you're harassing Christian parents for their political activism, you're not engaged in justice, you're engaged in politics. Let's be honest about that fact, and let's make this department work a little bit more slowly until Merrick Garland changes course and actually does his job the right way. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, JD. I think that's a good statement. It's time the Republicans do something about this. And we know that many people in the Senate just refuse to. In fact, Mitch McConnell and other leaders in the Senate have declined because they want the process to play out. We know they hate Trump. So we've got one more segment on the day because this is an interesting proposal. Presidential candidate Vivek issues a challenge to other GOP candidates now that Donald Trump has been indicted and arraigned on federal charges. Kind of a big issue. A lot of other issues floating out there that we're all very interested in. But we have the weaponization of the DOJ, the FBI. We've got the Biden administration literally prosecuting now the #1 person in this field, in this campaign. And it's a big problem. And so a lot of the Republican candidates are just going to continue on with their heads in the sand, burying them, hoping this whole thing goes away and they can avoid the blast zone. Many of them fled from Miami, didn't want to be anywhere near it, but not Vivek. He showed up there and he issued a big new challenge. In fact, he's asking other GOP candidates, he sent a letter to all of them asking for their position on a very serious questions about the Trump prosecution. And it's important because this is not just about Donald Trump. In fact, if you just take a quick Google and you type in DeSantis worse than Trump, you get a lot of search results that show up on this. And here's just a quick sampling of them. LA Times. Should we fear the former president's craziness or the Florida governor's competence? A DeSantis presidency could be even worse. DeSantis is far more dangerous than Trump. DeSantis is a true believer, but he's a lesser politician. No one is more dangerous. All right, so the list goes on and on. So for everybody in the Republican Party who's just crying or not saying anything because they just want to be silent about it, your turn in the spotlight will come, no doubt about it. The Democrats will come for you also. So Vivek is speaking out. He actually flew down to Miami. And he's sporting this new truth hat and this new truth brand, which is his. And I thought this was an interesting development. Almost feels like a direct assault on True Social, which is Trump's brand. But if you go to Vivek 2024/truths, this is what he has there for us. He says God is real. He says there are 2 genders, right? This is his list. Human flourishing requires fossil fuels. Reverse racism is racism. The nuclear family is the greatest form of governance known to mankind. Capitalism lifts people up from poverty. There are 3 branches, not 4, and the U.S. Constitution is the strongest guarantor of our freedoms in history. In history. And so he's now speaking out about that. He showed up in Miami, and here is what he said.
That brings me to my second announcement that I'm going to make today. This is an announcement of a letter that my campaign has sent to every other campaign in this race, to Mike Pence, to Nikki Haley, to Larry Elder, to RFK Jr., to Marianne Williamson, to Doug Bugram,
Democrats,
Burgum, to Perry Johnson,
sorry, Doug,
to Chris Christie, to Ron DeSantis, the governor of the state where we are today, who by any measure is not here today in his own state. I will tell you that we have sent this letter, and I'm happy to announce this is my commitment on January 20th, 2025, if I'm elected the next U.S. president, to pardon Donald J. Trump for these offenses in this federal case. And I have challenged, I have demanded that every other candidate in this race either sign this commitment to pardon on January 20th, 2025, or else to explain why they are not.
Very beautiful politics, driving a wedge in between the other candidates. And we also saw that he is inviting Democrats into this conversation. Why wouldn't you pardon this? Hey, Marianne Williamson, why do you think it's okay for the DOJ to prosecute Trump but not Hillary? Good question for them. I'd like to hear RFK's answer. I'd love to hear all of the other Republicans weigh in on this. A lot of them conveniently don't want to talk about it. I scrolled around through many of their Twitter accounts today in preparation for this show to see if they had anything to say about the Trump arraignment, the Trump indictment on this day, and the answer is no. Many of them, most of them did not. They'd all rather just kind of let Trump indulge in this misery by himself. Something we say a lot here is there's a phrase that true happiness is seeing your neighbor who you don't like fall off his roof, right? It's you just sitting there and you just watch him fall over there. And that's the same guy who, killed your plant that one time. So the Republicans are watching, all the GOP of watching Trump allegedly fall off the roof. And it makes them look bad, actually. It doesn't make Trump look bad. It makes them look bad because this issue is much, much bigger than Trump, way bigger than Trump. And their failure to see that is commentary on their incapability of leadership, quite frankly. If they can't even recognize this, then I think it honestly disqualifies them. If they take a look at this and they say, no, the DOJ is great, that is not a candidate that I want in the Republican Party as a Republican voter. So it is, I think, a good wedge issue. And here, this is another justification of the use of the pardon power. This is what it's for. This is why it exists. This gives the people the ability to override something like what Biden is doing. There is still a fail-safe here. A lot of people are watching these indictments and they're wondering if this is the end of America. I know it might feel like that. And I know oftentimes things can get doomy and dreary when we're in a situation like this. But there is a fail-safe. The people got to elect Trump. I mean, really, that's kind of the fail-safe. Or somebody like Vivek, who's going to go in there and exercise the pardon power. That's the escape hatch. And so he is asking them now to put their pin on this. Where do you sign? Pardon, yes or no, like those grade school notes. Hey, Susie, will you pardon me, yes or no? She responds back. I want to know because it's a critical issue and he is executing it brilliantly. And I think he's the only person who is doing it from the GOP side.
And I will tell you something. It's going to be difficult for those other candidates to sign this letter. The reason it's going to be difficult for them is the same reason it's difficult for me. The donor class has been calling every Republican candidate and telling us to stay away from this, not to touch it from a 10-foot pole, not to just keep your distance away for Trump. That is what the donor class is telling us. That's what they're telling the other candidates. I refuse to abide by being a disciple of the donor class.
Right on.
I think that we need to declare independence from our donor class in the Republican Party. That is why I challenge every one of the other candidates to actually act on their convictions. If you're not going to pardon President Trump on January 2025, you deserve to say why, and we will hold you accountable, just as we're holding the Biden administration accountable. That's what we need more of in this country. Honesty, integrity, and actual purpose for our country in a way that puts America first, not our political interests first.
And wouldn't it be nice to have clear answers? I really appreciate this, actually. This is a public service. I would like other candidates to challenge each other with yes or no responses. What's your position on this? I have a question for you. You know, the media always does this. Well, what's your position on abortion? What's your position on this? And then they give these ridiculous answers. He's saying, I want to know your position. Yes or no? I sent you a letter. Respond back to me. And some clarity would be nice. We know what his position is. Very clear. I'll tell you what, it makes it a lot more a lot easier to support Vivek because he just says it. Okay, that's great. This is a very important issue.
And I'll close with saying this before I take questions. It would be a lot easier for me as a Republican candidate in this race if Donald Trump were not in it. But I don't want to win this election, unlike others, by eliminating our competition, by a federal administrative police state arresting my opponents. I want to do it the way that our founding fathers believed we should have, starting in 1776. That it is the people of this country, where every person's voice and vote counts equally. That is how we decide who governs this country, not by a federal administrative police state. And I challenge the Biden administration with this FOIA request. I challenge my fellow contenders in this race with this commitment letter to say that we will pardon Trump on January 20th, 2025, and nobody, either Biden or the other contenders in this race, are going to be able to hide from that truth.
Woo! So that was a burner from our friend Vivek Ramaswamy. I mean, I think it's brilliant politics. He is driving a wedge between his opponents, but it's also extremely important. And this issue is now, I hope, going to get more attention from the Republican side. I hope he continues to hold their feet to the fire on this. I hope that at the debates and that at all the different hits, he continues to ask, Ron, what's your position? Pence, what's your position? Haley, what's your position? Dial in on it, because this is a critical issue. And even if Trump doesn't win for whatever reason, I would like somebody in here who corrects the problem, which is the FBI, the DOJ, and politicized prosecutions. And the only way to do that is through this failsafe, through this escape hatch. And all of the other candidates, as he said, are scared, sidelined by the donors, but not Vivek. Good for him. And whatever this ends up looking like, a lot of the times, these people in these positions who are new to the game, they're running for the vice presidential slot or another position in the new administration. And I like the sound of that as well. So good challenge from Vivek. We'll see what all of the other candidates say. I wouldn't hold our breaths on that one. They're probably going to continue to bury their head in the sand. And it would also be curious if they unify to not issue a response to Vivek. We'll see. We'll see if anybody responds at all. If not, we know they're being unified. But very nice statement, very fiery indeed, and we'll continue to follow Vivek and others as they call out this insanity, which is the Trump prosecution. But that, my friends, is it for us on the day. We covered Vivek's challenge. We got Rubio's warning and the Biden smirk as he prosecutes his political opponents. We did an update on the court docket and got familiar with what's going on there. And of course, we recapped what happened today at the arraignment, including the very brief proceeding and this jail guy called Cray Epps, I think is his name. I'm not positive about that, though. But now, my friends, it is time to hear from you and to see what you have to say about this. Of course, our amazing members are chatting away at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. And we'd love it if you joined us over there. But we have to see what you guys have to say about all of this. And hey, where did we miss this one? I think we missed this one. This one just came in from Suzanne Eckstein. Says they want Trump gone at any cost. From Suzanne Eckstein. Been a member for 2 months. Thank you, Suzanne. I think you're right about that. I mean, I think that is what this is all about. It's break glass in case of emergency. And they have done that. They want him gone ASAP. And thank you for that, Suzanne Eckstein. I appreciate you being here. Patrick Parker sent this one in. 5 membos. Thank you, Patrick. One Nation Underground is coming in. Natasha McCrae's here. Lamont S. Kraken McBubble, welcome. And Garrett H. all coming in courtesy of our friend Patrick Parker. Thank you very much, Patrick, for sending that one in. We also want to say shout out to our friend Third Proverb. Says Banana Republic due to Banana Republicrats. Yeah, I think it's true. I mean, what's Mitch McConnell doing about this? Nothing. In fact, they're all just, they would like to see Trump gone. Because if Trump's gone, then everything can get back to the normal. The regular old grift can get right back on track. Good to see you, Third Proverb. Thank you for that. Don't Be Hatin' says, yeah, Rumble wasn't working. I think it's working now. There looks like some people are watching. Amazon Web Services has been really wonky today. So interfaces on certain software has not been working. So apologies to our Rumble friends. We'll get the clips up ASAP for anybody who missed anything. John McGarvey says, let's see if the country lasts another 11 months. It's a good, I don't know. I mean, they're going to indict him again, and then they're probably, I don't know if they put release conditions on him the next time. This time there were no release conditions, but next time, I don't know. Good to see you, John. Hey, Voice of the People with a big, nice invitation. We got 10 new members, courtesy of Voice of the People. Thank you, Voice. Bringing in Ernie. Nigma is in the house. Ace of Spades is in the house. Heather F, Tazzy Wazzy, Gemini G, Jesse Jackson's here. We got Kaiser of Third, Gate Watchers, and Tommy Bones is in the house, courtesy of our friend, Voice of the People. Thank you very much, Voice. And it's going to be lit. Hey, new members, don't forget to grab the Telegram link, because when we finish the show, we go to our members only after party, and we'd love to see you there at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. Red One says, what Democrats want is one guilty verdict. Horrible. Yeah, I mean, I think they want him sidelined until after the election, and then who knows what they're going to try to do for, for the election. I think they're going to try to remove him from ballots and stuff. Like, we'll see. We'll see. There's going to be a lot more shenanigans. And wait till the Republicans get involved, okay? Just wait till the Republicans get involved in the Republican primaries, right? Wait till that happens. It's going to get real bad. Bearded Reaction says, Robert, I'm an attorney in Florida. I love the job you are doing. Keep up the good work. From Bearded Reactions. Well, that's a nice thing to say. And shout out to my fellow attorney bro out there in Florida. Hopefully you're doing good over there in Florida. A lot of energy in that state. But I appreciate it. Bearded Reactions. I wonder if you have a YouTube channel, if you have doing anything fun over there. But my friend, my attorney friend in Florida, thank you very much. I really appreciate the chat. Thanks for joining up here, and thanks for supporting the work. Good luck over there in Florida. John McGarvey says, hey, Rob. Hey, John. Good to see you, John. Hey, John. Southern Comfort with prayers and love for the U.S. Thank you, Southern Comfort, for the tip. I'm with you on that. Prayers and love for this country. We're all going to need it. We got this one from Fred Pedamonte. Hey, Fred, Johnny's back. He says, Rob, Johnny's just been hired by the Trump team as a special counsel. Wow, really? He's being picked up by Trump's plane tomorrow. Wow. Says, I'll let you know what's going on. Wow, that sounds crazy. So Johnny, you can see here, if you're not familiar, this comment came from Fred, but he's talking about Johnny. Johnny's the puppy right here. So apparently Johnny's going to be brought on as special counsel on Trump's team. And I'm wondering what his first action will be. I don't know. What do you think the first thing he'll do? His first line of business is probably, do you think it's going to be a sit or a rollover? What do you think he's going to do? All right, that wasn't that good. All right. John McGarvey says, crazy days. How about you? It's been a pretty crazy day here. Former president got indicted. Just hanging out though. Thanks, John. This one came in from John McGarvey, also inviting one member, one very lucky member, TJ Hartley. Welcome into the club, courtesy of John McGarvey. You guys are best friends now, by the way. So connect offline and, I don't know, talk about life goals or something. Jackie Carrion says, Rob, I want it unsealed and televised too. Great job. Yes, I want it too. I agree with the media wholeheartedly here. I can't believe I said that. Wow. I agree with the media. I want it unsealed. Thank you, Jackie. And thanks for being a member for 2 months. How amazing. We have another one. This one came in from John. Another gifted membership. Thank you, John. This one came in from The Freedom Is Here. I hope so. I hope it's somewhere. I have a lot less of it here in America. We've got, thank you, John. This one came in from Jigam Gigam. Jigam said, sadly, I'm unable to stick around for the live show. We'll catch it on the replay. Oh, we missed you, Jigam. But hopefully you have, something else enjoyable that you're doing. We missed you today. Have a great event. And Jigam sent this one in. Jigam's our meme smith extraordinaire, and she sent this one in. Watching the Watchers. Like that like button, baby. Wherever it is you're watching it. Thank you, Jigam, for sending that one in. Hopefully you're having a beautiful night. John McGarvey says, Rob, just eat the bugs that eat the greens. Oh, yeah. So bypass all the greens. Well, no, I mean, you want to bypass the bugs. But I guess you could, yeah, I mean, I guess it's like, I guess we would just skip the bugs. We could eat the cows, they'd eat the greens to get your steak. right? But I get your point, John. Maybe that's what they'll try to sell us during the next pandemic. Naldo Vaz is in the house. Naldo Vaz. Thank you, Naldo, for the very nice tip the chat sent in here. I appreciate that. Yeah, Vientikis sent in a tip. Thanks, V. Says, remember to spell it properly when you say trust the science, right? The science, as in PSY, not SCI. PSY as PSYOP, right? And I was thinking about this. You know, science is like a product. You can just go, you know, you drive through, you know, a drive-through place, and you say, hi, I'll have a number 5, please, and they know what it is. It's the same thing. You just say, hey, hi, I'll have one, this is efficacy, please. I'll have one efficacy, please. Oh, what would you like on your efficacy? This new drug or this new jab? Just one efficacy, please. And they say, oh, sure, coming right up. And you get a bunch of scientists in the back room who are slapping together a bunch of crap, and they sell it back to you. Hi, I've got your one science. It's a one order of efficacy. Oh, perfect, great. Then they take that order of efficacy and then they go and they blog about it. Thank you, V. John McGarvey's going into different languages for us. Is Biden continuing his seat as president? Will Biden survive his seat as president? Is that what that says? I don't know. Good question, John. Whatever this is, it's a brilliant question. And you know what? I think that really you should reflect on it and think about what it means to you. This one came in from Rocky Water. Says, bingo, Byron Donalds, and says, thanks for another great show. Thank you, Rocky Water. Super generous, my friend. Thank you very much. And Byron is the man. Here's another one from John, another language. Perche se e qualcuno dovrebbe fare qualcosa al riguardo. Which is a great point as well, I think. Maybe. Probably not. John's usually a pretty smart guy, so it's probably a good comment. Excellent point, John. Thanks for being here. Tree Climber says, for your hard work to inform us, thank you. Thank you, Tree Climber. I appreciate you being here, my friend. Thank you for the dono. It really does help. They all add up, and I appreciate it. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Dane Duard says, Trump should have not chosen Pence. He should have not fired Flynn. He should have locked her up. Instead, he listened to Kushner, and he screwed himself. Yeah, I think that is, well, you know, hindsight's 20/20, certainly. Could you imagine, though, if his DOJ would have prosecuted Hillary? They would have had a meltdown. And honestly, we all probably would have had a meltdown. You know, it would have been like, wow, this is a thing now. And I'm not sure I would have been a big fan of it back then, right? Now I think that certainly we should have now. Because the standard that we thought was set by that non-prosecution doesn't apply, right? But I do think, you know, the confidential documents thing is a problem in general. Like what Hillary did, you know, I don't want documents floating around all over the place. Biden, but it's just, you know, it's par for the course. It's our federal government. Does anybody think that there are not other documents floating around elsewhere? Like if Joe Biden had them in his house for 20 years in a garage, where else are these documents? Give me a break. They're all over the place. Which is not good, actually. Thank you, Dane. This one came in from Norman. Says, Trump is winning the Constitution. Is he? Trump is winning the Constitution. Is he? From our friend Norman Smith. This may backfire big time on them. It's starting to look like he's kind of a martyr in many ways. Dolphin fan is the man came in and brought 5 new membos. Thank you, Dolphin. Dark Energy. Paul's here. Paul E. Streak 9. Boiler Operator. And Third Proverb. All coming in courtesy of our friend Dolphin fan is the man. And our friend Vientikis is clipping those GIFs for us. Man, what a clip. Man, V's the man. We got Let's Go Brandon in the house, says lock her up. Just became a shout out member for 1 month. Thank you, Let's Go Brandon, in the house. And those, my friends, came in from YouTube, from locals, from Rumble. Thank you, everybody, for supporting the work that we do here. Let's say hello to our friends on Twitter before we wrap it up for our after party, which is where we'll go and hang out with our members for some time after the program to debrief, talk about everything. But first, what's going on Twitter? We got Danny McWilliams is in the house. I see Vientikis is over there. We got James Pepper and Donna. Donna's in the house. So Danny says, Danny says, hey, FBI. He's acknowledging I was the second gunman on the grassy knoll. He says, no, now I'm Howard Hughes' long-lost son, is what Danny says. Thanks, Danny. We have Donna, who says, happy birthday, June 14th, to Donald, heading to Miami, Florida. Stopped by a bakery, got prayers and blessings. Look at Trump, looking good. Thumbs up. We're going to get through this. It's all going to be good. Donna also shared this one. Says, this guy doesn't even have to change clothes. Oh, that is flawless victory. So good. He doesn't even have to change clothes. Oh, it's too good. Just put him right in there. Don't even have to change. Just throw him right in. No, he's wearing outfit. He's already wearing an outfit. Oh, it's funny. From Donna on Twitter. Good to see you. And who else do we have? Vientikis says, I would have liked to have seen a bunch of clout chasers showing off classified documents saying, hey, look what we got from Biden's place. Let's see what it says. Yeah, I mean, maybe we should get pictures of Joe Biden's garage. Like, wouldn't it be nice to have more pictures of that? Why didn't the FBI take pictures of all of his boxes and give those to us to spread all over the place? How come? Hey, Tucker's latest episode just dropped. Sweet. He's talking about this this arraignment and indictment. Donna says, Vivek's now just getting a little creepy. Raven says, come on, Caitlyn is a Trump supporter? I don't think so. No, I don't think so. Raven. Charlie Girl says, thank goodness I can watch you on Twitter, especially today. The Rumble is not cooperating. And it's not just your show. Oh, thanks for that feedback, Charlie. P.S. Love your show. Watch it daily. Thank you, Charlie Girl. That's so nice. I appreciate you saying that and being here. Yeah, there's been a lot of internet problems out there. So it's just been a wonky day. And on my restream, I got a notice. They said, hey, our Amazon Web Services are down. But I don't think Rumble's on that at all. So I'm wondering what's up with Rumble. But yeah, it's been a little bit wonky. But thanks for reporting that back to us. Strange. Okay, so at least it's not just us. That's good to know. I do appreciate that feedback. But my friends, that is it for us on the day. We are going over to our members only after party. Stick around for that if you're a member. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to join us on the Telegram link. Go to the community tab section. Join us on Telegram. That's where you will continue to watch. But that is it for us on the day. Join us at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. Don't forget to get your Field of Greens over at fieldofgreens.com because the vegetables want to be eaten. That's why they're here. They're healthy. They're nutritious. They're going to help us be fortified and live long and live well. Fieldofgreens.com with code Robert at checkout. Also, you can grab this Mindmap software, this tool that I use at spotlightlawyer.com/mindmap. If you want to check it out, create a free account over there and use it to explode your mind out into this infinite canvas. It's a lot of fun, and I use it for all sorts of stuff. Thank you to our mods and meme smiths, our friend Vientikis Prime, K Bean in the house, Just Cause, Playin' Hooky, Ronnie Cole, Zulu, Beyond Geostars, Zach Nichols, John Allen in the house, Janek 909, Dog Digger, and Donut Mind Me, all modding down the fort for us, along with our meme smiths, Sleepy Dog Lee, and Geegum Geegum, along with our friend Nathan N810 in the house. And so that is it for us, my friends. Now, I know that there was an arraignment today. Tomorrow, there is a lot to get caught up on. We've got some Burisma stuff to get into. We've got 17 audio recordings that Chuck Grassley brought up. We had a ton of oversight stuff today, ton of J6 stuff today. So we're going to be working on getting caught up on a lot of those headlines with our members tomorrow morning on our member-only stream, and then hopefully tomorrow in the show as well, because while, you know, this Trump stuff is incredibly historic and important, there's a lot of benefit to also going on the offense a little bit and to showing what Joe Biden has done and how his crimes are not even on the same category at all, because they're actually crimes, not political prosecutions like we're seeing with Trump. So, my friends, there's a lot more to get to, and I hope you join us as we do. I would love to see you right back here tomorrow, same time, same place, so we can do it all again, and so that together, with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. My friends, make it a beautiful night. Sleep very well. I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.